governing body meeting, which we adjourned some time ago before we had our round robin, which I thank you for all contributing to. I have reflected on all the points raised by the councillors in our round robin table discussion before the break, which I have found to be most useful and helpful. Thank you. It is clear to me that we have some differences in views on how to deliver a balanced budget, but I also heard that there is a genuine desire on the part of a majority of councillors to reach a consensus on delivering a balanced budget. It is a slightly different mix of the levers. In order to achieve a balanced, sustainable budget, I've compromised on every lever. Less sales, less cuts, slightly more rates, slightly more debt. So please take this proposal seriously. So I'm going to move a chair's recommendation that is on your screens. Now, and has been emailed to you, and a hard copy will be distributed as we speak. The gentleman to my left is handing it out. This recommendation is seconded by the Deputy Mayor. It is clear to me that we should not fill our operating budget hole with debt, especially with up to $3 billion of known problems over the horizon. To me, debt is the essence of financial mismanagement by loading future generations of Aucklanders with debt because we don't have the courage to make hard decisions about living within our means now. So I've moved my new proposal to do a partial sale of the airport shares. This is an option available to us because we did consult upon it and it has been audited and it was supported. I'm now proposing that we sell 8.09% of our 18.09% shareholding to realise around $1 billion and pay down debt. This will save a net $28 million of interest costs in the coming year and over $130 million over the remaining term of the current long-term plan. This means that we have to find another $32 million in operating savings or rates to balance the budget and fill the $365 million operating budget hole. I'm proposing we fill this gap with a general rates increase of 7.7% for the average residential property. This is 1% above inflation, with that 1% being for the stormwater damage, which was well supported. I'm also proposing that we reinstate $4 million of the cuts for local board spending and require that the Chief Executive find another $5 million of cuts to spending in the coming 23-24 budget year. This increases the savings for Auckland Council to $33 million. I know there are still some councillors who want more comfort that we won't squander the proceeds of the airport share sales. I want to assure you that we will not do that. We will pay down debt, which will immediately start saving us money. After that, I'm proposing that we establish a political working group that will oversee a program of work to determine what Council's ownership objectives will be for the remainder of the shares and what the long-term uses of the debt headroom should be for. This working group will make recommendations to the governing body about how to make best use of Council assets to improve Council's long-term financial position in the long-term plan, which will be challenging. And we shouldn't make this LTP any harder by using short-term debt. Unfortunately, this new proposal means there will be no new money or allocated money for accelerating local board equity funding or prioritising local projects that have been left languishing. It is a consequence of not selling all the shares, but can be revisited in the LTP. There is a slight change recognising the broad support for discontinuing Kauri Kids by allowing for local board support to enable their local continuation. I'd like to thank Councillors Julie and Richard for this suggestion. I believe this proposal is the best, prudent, achievable, balanced budget for Aucklanders. I'll now move to questions. As I've said already, I'm going to be strict with standing orders for this part of the meeting. Thank you, Sandra, for your support. Once the questions are finished, I will ask staff to move away from the table and then we'll start the debate, keeping to time. Any amendments received in writing and signed will be considered in the order that they're raised. If they need time to amend these after hearing this, that time will be granted. I'll adjourn the meeting when considering any amendments in order to get the appropriate advice from staff that I need to ensure that we get this right once I have received them. Now I'd like to move to questions. In terms of the difference of what you see, it is basically just the bits that are highlighted, bits that I've discussed. I'm sure there'll be questions. Councillor Hills?
Apologies, Mayor. Are we able to ask questions of staff more generally, or is this just a view at this point? Because I think we were going to do that before we did the round table.
Yep. General questions and questions about this. Bearing in mind that we've heard, most of you have said quite a lot, but that didn't prevent you from saying it again if you so wish. Councillor Philly would like to ask a question.
Thank you, Your Worship. A question of yourself, I guess, because we are not asking questions of staff. Just in terms of this, and I thank you for listening and changing your proposal, but I would like to ask if we could have some time to consider it, because we've only just popped up on our pages. And
I just missed your opening there. Someone spoke to me.
Sorry. I was just asking if we can have some time to consider it, and because you do require any amendments in writing, you obviously would need some time to write up.
Of course I am. And you can ask questions of myself and questions of staff during the current time.
I haven't had time really to look at it
so
or review it, but I'll reserve my right to ask those questions.
Yes, thank you for that. No, it's an open discussion, no limits.
Kia ora. Thank you, Your Worship.
I'm not in any great rush. You've got time to chew it over, so don't feel under any pressure for time. You don't have to put your hand up for a question just yet. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to break for 10 minutes while you all have a chance to read it and consider. But it is in keeping with everything that we've consulted upon. And the main thing is moving to a partial sale, which has the consequence of needing a bit more of everything to get there. Thank you.
Sandra, just a question.
Councillor Filipina?
Your Worship, how different is this compared to your last proposal in regards to the reductions apart from the rates, apart from double figure for general rates, apart from the operating expenditure reductions, the rates, the debt? How
I'll explain
far
it.
apart is that?
If you move to the part sale, which is what we consulted upon, that's clear, and it leaves a shortfall which is required to be picked up in little bits of the other three. Okay, so it's basically the main change is the part sale and just the consequences thereof.
Yeah, so what I want is an explanation, something to tell me, here's the mayoral proposal, this is what the new proposal is, and here are the differences that we need to take into account. Because I'm not going to make a decision based on what I've just read when I don't know the differences without me going through the mayoral proposal. So I just need staff, and the staff that got and put this together, I need them to give us, whether it be one sheet to say, here's the mayoral proposal that we had presented to us, here is this new proposal, and here are the effects and changes and there's the difference to it. Because if we're not fully informed, how are we going to make a decision? So can your staff or finance staff or whoever you spoke to over the break, can they get a paper to us in regards to that, Your Worship? Thank you.
I think we can do that, and I think that's probably fair for amendments too. Every amendment has consequences as well. So you're quite right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
totally agree. And we didn't get a written one for you. but
Okay,
for the Chair.
we'll
Thank you.
in the next 10 minutes while you're reading, we'll be putting together what those mean, and it's quite simple. Thank you.